Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm starting a new series called You Can Sew That. I'm going to feature popular movies and TV shows and feature their iconic outfits and the characters that wear them. So first up in the series has to be Sex and the City. We're starting off episode by episode, so this is going to be episode 1 of Sex and the City, labeled Sex and the City. Before I dive in, I want to give a little introduction about myself. I am a seamstress and have worked professionally as a tailor, and I'm a huge and avid pattern collector. I also have a small business where I sell vintage sewing patterns on Etsy, eBay, and even Whatnot live auctions. Because I'm such a big fan of vintage patterns, I will be focusing on a lot of vintage patterns from the 90s and 2000s, specifically for Sex and the City, since that was the time frame that the show took place. But I also will be adding in some more contemporary and digital patterns into the mix as well. So with that, let's get to the first outfit. The first outfit we'll focus on is Carrie, of course, and when she's introducing kind of herself, but mainly her column, she's wearing this large gray oversized trench coat. I think it may be menswear, but I found a pattern that is from the brand Sewing Step by Step, and the pattern number, I have to double check, is 012 052 131. And this trench coat has these more baggier raglan sleeves, and it gives that extra little oversized look that Carrie was able to pull off as her first look. We're next introduced to Miranda, and I do have to give a fair warning here. I probably will not be featuring as many of Miranda's outfits as the other characters. Miranda notoriously does not have the best dressed looks on this show. She has a lot of office wear as her character is a lawyer. And there's only so many times I think I'm going to keep featuring a lot of the skirt suits. So I will feature the first outfit she has, which is a skirt suit. And I think I found a good pattern for it, which is a vintage Anne Klein pattern for Vogue. The pattern is Vogue 1019, and it gives that extra emphasis at the shoulders and kind of tapers in, which I feel like complements Miranda's look that she has on the show. We then get introduced to Charlotte, and Charlotte is wearing a three-piece set. She's got a cute little skirt on with a camisole and a cardigan. I actually found sewing patterns for each of these items. So let's start with the skirt. I have New Look 6843. It is a slightly fitted skirt. She has it cut above her knee, so you can just cut where you see fit. And then for the camisole, I found this vintage pattern from McCall's, which is 6395. You can add whatever trim you'd like, kind of spice it up a little bit more, like how Charlotte's wearing. The pattern is fairly simple, but it gives you that basic shape of the camisole. And then lastly, for Charlotte's look, I do also have a cardigan, which is Butterick 4496. The sewing pattern is for a dress and romper, but really we're just going for the cardigan here. I think this one does the trick. Now we're finally moving into evening wear, which I think features a lot of the really fun outfits that they wear on Sex and the City. The girls are all out to dinner, and they finally feature Samantha. Samantha wears some more of the risque looks on Sex and the City. So of course, her first look is a deep V-neck, and I found a vintage pattern that is kind of close, maybe not totally exact, but we have Vogue 9343 for that deep V plunging neckline. Next at the dinner table, we have Charlotte, who is wearing a really pretty sheer button-down top that is short sleeves. I found a pattern by Berta 3087 that is the same thing as that fitted button-down top with the short sleeves. So all you need to do is find that really pretty sheer fabric. I'm going to skip over the other women at the table. Miranda's still wearing that same suit, and Carrie's wearing just kind of like a basic off-the-shoulder top. So let's move on to some of the other scenes. Next, we're moving on to Carrie back in her home wearing a much more casual look. And she's wearing an absolute 90s staple, which is the oversized button down. I have a pattern from Butterick that is also from the 90s that features 9 different ways to make this oversized button down, and I think you can find the exact match that Carrie's wearing. And the pattern is Butterick 3198. And if you're interested in purchasing, I do have this one available in my shop. Next on the list is one of my favorites from the episode, and it is Carrie wearing the black wrap dress with the asymmetrical hemline. I think I found a good pattern for this. This is Vogue 7898, and it has the asymmetrical hemline. It will just need a little bit of tweaking. So instead of the hemline going down towards an angle with both of the panels, you'll just cut one really short and straight across, and I think it achieves that look. Now we're going back into more evening wear, and we're featuring Carrie again as she's wearing the leopard print bustier dress. This is more of like a lingerie piece and like a nighty sleepwear kind of look that she dressed up, has a little cover for. I couldn't find an exact pattern for this entire look. I did find two patterns that, if combined, I think they can recreate that dress that she's wearing. So the first pattern I have is the Taylor Jean Cox corset pattern, and it's kind of funny. It's actually also in a leopard print. And the only real difference here, I would say, is just the straps. If you want to make it more authentic to what Carrie is wearing, you can get that bra strap material and sew that on instead of using the same fabric as suggested in the Taylor Jean Cox pattern. And then for the slip part of the dress, I actually just sold this pattern, but I thought this would be a good option too. I've seen many more being sold online, and it is the McCall 7851, and this pattern I believe is also from the 90s. So you get that nice little slip look, and I'm hoping kind of tie that in a little bit with the structured bustier part of the top. We have another dramatic V-neck from Samantha, but this time it is a really gorgeous cowl neck dress. I really like this cowl neck dress that Samantha's wearing because it's this deeper V, it's got these spaghetti straps, and she also has an additional strap going diagonally across the back. So I feel like that creates a nice little extra piece of interest there. A pattern that I found for this is McCall's 3438. And I do think you'd probably need to shorten the dress, but it's a little bit hard to see how long the dress she's wearing is in the episode. And the only other thing you need to change with the pattern is adding in that diagonal strap going down the back. All right, we're already at our last outfit for this first episode, and we are ending with Charlotte's evening gown. That is this beautiful, sleek halter dress. This halter dress comes with really thin spaghetti straps that are used as the tie, and they are super long, so they drape all the way down the back. Creates a really sexy look. The pattern that I found for this dress is Nicole Miller by Butterick, and it is 5305. And you would just need to thin the straps out here, kind of keep it purely halter instead of all the crisscrossing that this pattern has, and then just make the straps super long so you get that really cool look. And that concludes the first episode of You Can Sew That. I hope you enjoyed, and if this is something you're interested in, please subscribe. I'm planning on doing many more of these in the future.